them on there. That's how they would do that. Many of them on there. Make it pay while they're at it. With a 12-year-old boy doing the molding with bare feet. I've done the first half, rolled it over. Now I need to part that down like I did before. Now what makes this different than just casting 2 more little fry pans is that after I do the other side and remove the 2 patterns, before I pour it, I'm going to take this 3/8 square stock, just 3/8 cold roll, and I'm going to cut 4 pieces of it. 1, and then it'll be 2, 3, 4. And the purpose of that is to space the 2 halves of the flask. In other words, I'm going to separate the cope and the drag by 3/8 of an inch. And when I pour this, the entire inside will be filled with aluminum, not only where the patterns are, but that 3/8 thickness. Now, I'd like to even make it 1/2 inch, but I'm very worried about having enough aluminum because even using my largest flask, it's going to be a close one. So I'm going to cut these in a minute here and move them in just a little, rather than putting them right on the edge here like I usually do. I'm going to move them in just a little bit, and that will use less aluminum, because if I am short of aluminum, then I got to do the whole thing over again, and the flask is the biggest one that I've got, and it's kind of scary to use. Back when I was in my prime and teaching, I had made so many different patterns this way at the high school as poured match plates. I think I made it too easy for the kids because I did all of that, but I remember making one particular project. It was a weather vane with a rooster on it, and it was quite large, with a, I suppose, 15-inch long arrow on it, and pretty good size rooster. And there was about 6 castings there, and I had a match plate made for each one. Now, I haven't done this in 25 or 30 years, so this is kind of new to me now, so I got to think through it. But I've already cut this 3/8 material here that I talked about, and after I ram the other side, which I haven't done yet, then I'm going to put this whole thing on the floor so I don't have to try to pour it up high with that big flask. But I'll put a sprue here in the corners, one here and one here, and fill the whole thing. Now, I will also pack some sand around here, around the corners, because there is a possibility of leakage. I've had that happen, where the tiniest hole, the metal just pours out, and then you got to do the whole thing over again. Also, I remember that sometimes as the hot aluminum hits the cold steel here, I would get some short runs, or some cold shuts, I guess we called them back then. And, all right, that's enough talking on that. I'm going to take these off for now and ram up the other side off camera. Here's the 2 halves of the mold. And notice that I've got a sprue in one corner, I guess you call it a riser in the other corner. Now all I have to do is to try to get these patterns out of here without damaging anything, which might be kind of tricky. Then I'm going to put this half on the floor and lay those square bars in there and reassemble the thing. It's quite heavy, that's why I'm moving onto the floor 1/2 at a time. One last look at this before I close the mold. Notice the 3/8 square stock around the perimeter. And there's the other half, which I will bring down and close right now. There it is. I'm huffing and puffing. That might be a bit overkill, but I got it dammed up all the way around with foundry sand on the floor, so it'll be easy to pour. And now I'm going to turn the furnace on, and that's going to take about 45 minutes. I'm going to have to keep adding to the pot until she's full to the brim. And good to the last drop. I like to make sure that my molds are full. I don't take any chances. I have to laugh whenever my friend fills a snowmobile with gasoline. There's gas everywhere, and he always says, I like to make sure that tank is full. Okay, notice that I also use C-clamps to hold the mold together, possibly separating due to the hydraulic pressure. Probably unlikely with the aluminum, but I've poured lead in a large flask like this, and you wouldn't believe the pressure. It just bulges out the sand and separates the 2 halves of the mold, and that's why you often see an iron foundry where they have weights, rather heavy weights on top of all of the flasks when they pour them. All right, we're going to let that cool for about an hour. Open it up and see what we got. Okay, it's the time for reckoning. Let's see what it looks like. Now, excuse my sandals, but everything is pretty cool, and it got hot here, and I had to put my shorts on and sandals, so let's see what this thing looks like. Okay, let's see what this cast match plate looks like. It's still kind of warm. And there it be. Now I'm going to cut that mess off on the top, but can you see what we've got here? The pattern incorporated into the plate, all cast as one. I would like the plate to have been a little bigger than this so it would fit in the flask a little better, but I was constrained by the size of the flasks that I have and the amount of aluminum that I could pour. But I think I did have a little extra aluminum, so it could have been bigger. Remember, this is 3/8 thick. I probably could have got by with a 1/2 inch thick, but there would have been no need. So let me cut this off so we can take a better look at it. Boy, do I have a mess to clean up. I hope my wife doesn't get mad at me. But this is the end result, and I'm still not done. So this is the match plate itself, a cast match plate. Still warm, but not bad. And that is the flask that I will use. This is the 8x10, or the 10x12 flask that I will use to cast, because now I want to actually cast some little fry pans from this. So what's the next step? Well, it would have been nice if it was a little bit longer, such that I would be able to drill holes into it, and the flask pins would go right through it, because it's going to slide around a little bit. But that's the best I could do with the amount of sand and the flask size that I got, and the little pot that I use to melt the metal and pour out of. So, but what I'll do next, I'm going to go down the basement, put this on the Bridgeport mill, and I'm going to mill these remnants here of the sprues off. And I don't mind milling down a little bit deeper than what I need, and then I'm going to fill it with body putty. Oops, everybody's still with me. This got to be cleaned up too. Then I would like to put a runner in here and the gates, because that's how they would do it. Now I could get by with doing that all with a spoon, but I've carried this thing through this far, so I might as well continue. It is now 5 o'clock in the afternoon, so I have worked on this, including the cooling down time, for 8 or 9 hours. Now you know why pattern makers get $90 an hour. And as far as I'm concerned, they work pretty cheap, considering what I've been through here all day. So I'll see you down in the machine shop here momentarily. Stick with me now, don't turn this off.